He's gonna fight me.
And we are live.
Live?
The way that I record these sessions, I technically live stream them.
Oh.
We're here so that the whole world can see us.
Is there a way for you to tell if anybody ever watches it?
The analytics will tell me like how many people have watched and how long they watched, but not who.
Well, no, not who, obviously. But has anybody watched any of our sessions?
Possibly, besides me.
Oh.
I have.
Marco.
Ivan has.
I've looked at a couple.
Yeah, Ivan has watched a few.
I meant other than people that are in our campaign.
So you want to be viewed by people beyond this group?
No, I'm curious if we have been.
I don't think it would tell me. I mean, I've shown my friends some sections of these sessions.
Is that the one that did the tongue drawing?
Yes.
I loved that. I'm also terrified of the day if we ever time skip to a place where we have guns, because that will basically become Tom. She will do.
Or Tooth just has to roll the right number, and he may be able to produce himself a little gun.
Let's
Or like a
not
flintlock.
encourage that. Let's not encourage that.
I
If it
was
was like a
joking with her
flintlock, that
that
would be
if
cool.
we got far enough into the future for that to be a thing, you can almost be assured that Adea was the one who provided it.
And you've also joked that we would be the ones causing the Titanic to sink. Because we were on it.
I mean, us in boats.
What I love is like with that, it's like
That's been a group joke.
we wouldn't even have to do anything. We would just have to be literally on the boat. And it would sink.
There was no ice to speak of. It just sunk.
Yes, I do the recap.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Last time on the Whims of Fate, we successfully escaped the fire and made our way back to to our main camp, mostly in one piece. Well, actually, in one piece, but damaged pieces.
In a couple of damage pieces.
Slightly singed.
You are not slightly singed, Aaron.
It's an average.
Slightly boiled.
You're a bit crispy.
We slept the half the day away because we got back right before sunrise. And Tong and Brina took time to write some letters. Idea went back to work on her necklace. And Amror reported to Gorlois. Though it's mostly just, you have free time, go do what you want for the moment. Oh, and Emrys talked to Erden. And was given some information to think about, to which Erden tried to mess with him by playing on his banjo. And this time on the Whims of Fate.
So we have Rada and Amor talking. Tong has gone off somewhere with Taliesin. Erden is temporarily ground bound.
He's been grounded.
Tooth told me he wanted to sleep because he needs to heal.
Needs sleep to recover that beard.
Yep. It's a magical healing sleep of the leprechaun.
Makes sense.
He's just taking random things from his bag until something works.
He's gonna be like this tiny little leprechaun at the center of a pile of stuff just around him, as he's searching for anything to help restore his beard. And then he falls asleep in the pile.
Henry was
Which
meditating.
basically just leaves Henry, Rena, and Idea is sort of doing whatever they want. So,
So
while
I think for me, once I finish my letters, I would probably want to go check on people. But I have a feeling that I see Amber and Rada in a intense discussion, and I don't want to interrupt them. So I might go check on Airden, or I'll go over to Idea. I'm not quite sure which yet.
I'll let you think on that while we go to the Rada Amber discussion.
Alright. Okay, so.
Did you see my last
Yes,
post?
I did. I just need to remind myself what you said in that. The point still stands. The messenger must still get within the gates for Gardner. Well, I think that most of us are able to provide the protection of the forward guard. At least we have the honor and the endurance to provide that spread amongst the. At the moment, the two of us. So Henry probably has some good means of protection. If we're just going to be dealing with Saxons, then Erden would be fine once he's healed up. And if we take Idea with us, then she also has good armor as well. Though, considering that she is not recognized in Londinium, perhaps we want to send her in.
We certainly have many good forward guard members. It is merely a question of making sure the primary objective can be accomplished. Wandering around about Londinium will not accomplish us much without
Certainly
getting the
not.
message out.
You are correct in that point. But, what you have said is making things particularly difficult. As much as she would hate this, I do definitely think that we should be sending Tong in. She can get in one way or another, I am quite certain of that. Whether or not she can persuade the gods to let her in is another question, but I'm certainly sure she could get in magically.
Yes, well, if we're to be providing the messenger, we really have no choice but to send Tong or Idea.
And, well, you heard her last morning. Her charisma is not that good, so I think Idea might be the more persuasive.
Yes, Idea probably would be better for not drawing too much, well, unwanted attention of the sort that we would think of. Might not be the attention she wants, but we could probably convince her one way or another. I think. I don't know. What do you
I
think?
can think of one way that we can convince her. She gets to, at the very least, see what money can get you in terms of resources and allowing the craftsmen to do what they need to do versus our meager funds.
Yeah, some sort of bribery to her interests does indeed seem important. We might not get much cooperation otherwise from the little I've seen of her.
Probably not.
But willing cooperation if we can pique her interest.
Yes. I mean, maybe a bit
I am
course you
grooming you. You don't have to bite me. You're dirty.
Now do we want him to make direct contact with the Queen, or give a message to some messengers? I definitely do like the idea of contacting the what are the smaller people called?
The brownies?
Brownies.
The brownies. I think the brownies should at least be informed.
Yes, they're even more likely to be able to make contact without being noticed. Do we and this plan will not be very fruitful if we don't have the support team that will be able to actually help the Queen out, ready to follow up once the message is delivered.
Well, don't Relia and Uther have ideas as to what druids are being sent in?
I'm sure that they do. We merely need to coordinate with them so as to make our plans most effective.
Yes, so perhaps when we are done here, we go to the rest of our party, tell them that we are having a group meeting, and invite one or both Uther or Aurelia. And see if they have any thoughts.
It does seem to be the required course of action here. In some form or another.
Regardless, I would be very cautious about us going into London.
Well, yeah, we didn't exactly leave a good impression the last time we were there.
No.
It's been a few years, but
And also,
that
with a larger group, we have more chances of our glamours not working out that day.
yes. And I suspect that while the common man may not have forgotten our faces, if we do unfortunately come across the White Lady, a few years may as well be a blink of an eye to a god.
I know that's the way Tong thinks. She's old enough. She is 4 centuries old, just so you know.
It's a few centuries more than I can than I have any hopes of living to.
A few more centuries than any of us.
Indeed.
Right, she has talked about Rome enduring its golden age. Like she was there when it happened. That is besides the point. I think we have a good idea that we, being the forward guard, are able to provide at least a certain amount of protection. We just need to decide on what particular point, which Luther might have a suggestion for us on that point.
Mm-hmm. And making sure that whoever we do send into our forward guard is adequately prepared should they actually need to spring into action.
Wait.
One forward guardsman can easily scout, but is unlikely to be able to take out more than 1 or 2 assassins. And they're on their own if they do not have any backup to coordinate their position with.
Yes.
But also, the greater the size, the more suspicious.
Yes.
Personally, my hope would be that we could set out in pairs of 2 so that we might be able to coordinate if anybody was captured or needed immediate backup or to send a message.
That's not a bad idea.
Assuming that 2 is enough to take on whatever Saxon may be sent to assassinate if we
Well,
were to witness them.
that's assuming that they send in the assassins individually. If they send them in as a group, redundancy has its merits. Also,
Yes.
Tom has told me. In which case, if all of us are going, then let's see who we have. I'm glad I wrote the list down of who's actually in the party. Right, so, our most martial-leaning people are you, me, Erden, if he is well enough, Eder, and possibly Eni. Tong has a lot of magic, so that she's not martially inclined, but she is at least magically inclined, can help out there, so this is
Makes her
assuming
combat
that,
capable.
assuming we need fighters, which just leaves Brina, Tooth, and George.
George could probably hold his own in a fight as well.
And he has his ball.
Yes. There may be a question of if any blunders come about from his assignment, but if we were just talking about battle capabilities, I would trust him to be able to hold his own.
So, that means that we have, let's see, we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people to divvy up.
Yes. And how many roads into Londinium to cover?
Seven.
That will be another question to ask those most familiar with Londinium.
Yes.
Wouldn't you know that, though?
Not necessarily. It would depend on how much time you spent in Londinium.
I'm pretty sure I've only been there the once.
The ones.
Yeah, no, he doesn't really go to Londinium. He's got his station.
Okay.
Yeah.
The enemy's headquarters is at Londinium. They're not just going to let me waltz in.
No.
I'd love to see Emerald Falls. I just had a thought, kind of a small aside, but
You probably can if it's been invented by this point.
probably not.
No. I think that was a 17th century.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not yet. But
You might be
I
able to
just have-
polka.
that's even more hilarious. No offense. What I had thought of was the fact that because Rada's listing off all of our party members, I'm like, you didn't list Tiberius or Hosk. And I know that their players aren't here, and that's probably why, but I'm like, Tiberius probably went with the rest of the camp to the castle.
Yep.
Like,
Probably.
he would not have wanted to stay anywhere near the front line. So that's where I'm thinking Tiberius is. As far as Hosk, I don't know.
Hosk would be combat capable. We just haven't seen him in a long time.
He's too
His
depressed.
player.
He's too depressed over his boat.
I lied. The Viennese waltz was invented in the 1500s, and it was the first partner dance ever invented.
Really?
Ah,
Mhm.
Well, a partner dance where you're like in the other person's arm.
Yeah, so like your traditional ballroom dance. Like there were lots of group dancing before that, and where you would like, if you remember from like Pride and Prejudice, those types of dances that they were doing, those had been around for a long time. Because dancing was one of the ways you got to know people.
And while you do technically dance with a partner, it's not the same as what we think of now as partner dancing.
Yeah.
And I know
So
you've seen
apparently,
some of those
traditional partner
symphony
dancing
dances because I
came
watched
with
it.
the Renaissance. So, shocker.
It's strange to think that there were no partner dances before
Well,
this
if you think
millennium.
about it, how much did music advance during the Renaissance, though?
That's true.
Like, it wasn't just science and literature, it was everything.
Yeah, having the ready access to music to be able to do that is probably not a thing that most people, even up to and partially including nobles, would have had access to.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I mean, like, in the time period that we are currently in, music was usually used to tell stories, not to dance to. Like,
Which
you
is
would
why
have
me as
ritual
a storytelling
dances.
bard works with music.
Yeah,
That's why bards work, basically.
yeah. And that didn't really change for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your guys' discussion. It was just a thought that came to mind that I wanted to share with the rest of the party and kind of get your opinions on.
The other thing, so because music went from the bardic style to the religious, so everything was that upright choral, pompous, solemn church
Gregorian
choir
chant?
music. Yeah, and so it was just for church. You don't dance to church music. That's disrespectful. Sacrilege.
Heresy.
Blasphemy! Sorry, we were having an interesting lookup of different things over dinner that ended up with the Inquisition.
Did you know that the word atheism is actually older than the words for deist and theism?
And it's French in origin.
Hmm.
You know, that explains the spelling.
Mm-hmm. Also, the very first Inquisition started in France.
Why?
No one expects the French Inquisition.
Exactly.
Because
That's
no
a
one
real
knows
one no one
French Inquisition.
expects.
At this point, the Spanish Inquisition is in fact expected, but nobody was expecting a French Inquisition.
Well, did you know at one point there were 3 popes at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
I knew there were
Yes, I
two.
did know.
Yes.
Did you also know that there was a pope in Rome that had a family and he had like 20 kids or something with his mistress? I might be wrong on the number.
I was gonna say, there was also a time when there were like 3 different Roman emperors at the same time.
4.
Yeah.
4? Yes, 4. I was like, wait, yeah. Because they were all like, nope, this is the Roman Empire now, and I rule it. And you're like,
I think
Oh, well, we're the Roman Empire. No, we're the Roman Empire. Rah.
My favorite quote about the Holy Roman Empire is that it was not holy, it was not Roman, and it was not an empire.
Just like the Bozeman International Airport. Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport. It's not in Bozeman, it's not in Yellowstone, and it's
not
really international.
It might have been at one point, but it definitely isn't anymore. I got a snack.
The only reason it gets the international tag to it is because, yeah. But Canada's not international, let's face it. They're just northern Montana. Or if you're on the other side, it's northern New York.
I think that at one point it may have flown to Canada, but I don't think it does anymore.
Or eastern Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's international.
So, I think that Brina and Tooth should go either with me or with Henry, considering we are the 2 most fastest people. And the 2 of them have shorter legs. We are going to divide this into groups of 2.
No, send the short people together.
No.
Hey, you can have your
Nobody
date.
will expect.
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
As they're talking, I actually had an idea in my head where I'm like, maybe I can help with the brownies because I'm like a brownie, and the brownies might trust me. They'd probably trust me more than they could trust Tooth.
with brownies is you got to keep in mind that unless they want to be seen, you are unlikely to find them.
True.
You have to be damn good at spotting a brownie.
Well,
Now,
but I'd
and
had
when
an
I say,
idea.
yeah,
I'd had
but
an
just to give you an
idea.
idea, like, Rada's passive perception is not going to spot one.
I guess my idea was that if we send in Idea, which makes sense because she's not known to Londinium, she could bring me along, because you said that we can change our glamours to look more local.
They won't
Yes,
fool
it
us.
does take a little more effort to do that, but you can.
This is a thought process that did come to an end, so I'm telling you this story basically. Because I was thinking, it's like, okay, then maybe I can use my glamour, make myself look like her little sister. And they're traveling to Londinium to seek out merchant wares, something like that. And I'm just her little sister tagging along, because I can maybe help with the brownies because I'm a little one. Then I'm like, wait a minute. She has her necklace. Never mind. My glamour will fail. Not of my own accord. And that's assuming that I can even get it right.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't tried to get Adea to get rid of the necklace yet.
We love her too much to let her have her nice little hobby.
It hasn't exploded yet. We're fine.
It's been close a couple of times.
None of the NPCs are going to say anything because most of them are too powerful to really notice. So, Emrys and Taliesin definitely don't care. They're not affected by it.
There's been at least 2 druids who attempted to show her how it can in fact be harnessed, and then Adea tried. So we've gotten at least 2 times where it did in fact almost explode.
That's it. That is seems that if we do bring Odin, we're going to be a group of 9 people, which would mean either someone's going to have to go alone, or we're going to have a group of 3.
And George has Emerald.
Emerald doesn't really count as a party member. She's a
Battle
companion.
pig.
Battle pig.
I think I
Brina?
would have something to say about that. Except it's muted.
And he's still waiting to see if that wolf ever, or that bird ever comes back.
The
with
crow
wolf.
comes back with a wolf.
Right.
One day that crow will come back with the wolf to that field, and be like,
And
"Where'd
that
everybody
wolf
go?"
is gonna end up being an English bulldog.
Will the crow come back with the wolf, or will the wolf come back with the crow?
Oh no, they're gonna, on their way back, they'll become
Question.
best friends because they went on a legendary adventure together.
Yes.
But so far, at a 46%, he still hasn't found a wolf. So
That's another one of those side animal quests that I want to see at some point. Or have it written out even, because I'm like, I'm still waiting to know what our pets did in Atlantis.
I know, I gotta.
You know, that just
But
gave me an
I
idea.
want to see this epic adventure between the crow and the wolf, thank you.
Yeah, that gives me an idea to just draw a picture of the animals of the party. You know, we got Emerald, Kenny Pella, even though she's not around anymore. Lunch, Gausher, because he started out as an owl before he became a familiar. And then you just throw in Toga and they're being like, why am I here?
No, shoot her with
my
a fireball in her
spider
head.
you guys tried to kill.
Spider.
I can just see Tong with a fireball in her hand. It's like, this goes to whoever put me in this picture. Sorry, I didn't hear what you had said, Ivan.
The spider that you guys tried to kill.
Spider we successfully killed because it kills my people!
So
Just let's bicker on who killed who.
We did brutalize that spider pretty heavily before it finally died too.
Well, that thing was taken care of between sessions. Like, it was that powerful. So we still have.
The thing might have had more hit points than Tiberius.
Wait, you actually fought the spider? That's
No,
Hmm.
we just. Anyway, so we
For
still
a
have to
few
decide
attacks
on
of it.
where Tong, Ede, and George would go with. Now, given
Well, I guess
that,
Definitely should let Tong and George go together.
Oh,
That'll
no, Tong's definitely not. Tong's not down for that.
Remember,
level of-
every time she's a foxy lady, I try to tame her.
yeah, and I have a feeling that if you tried to do that again, you might get a fireball in your butt.
Nah,
Ooh,
you're gonna get Mind Sliver
specifically.
first. Then we'll go up
Ooh.
from there.
What
What
are
is
you
a
doing?
mind sliver?
Alright, it's a cantrip.
Oh, nice.
I suppose it first depends on who we are sending in among those three.
Yeah, so we'll see. The reason why I bring up Tong and Adea being a part of the forward guard would be that they don't have to stay inside the palace. They could deliver the message and then come back to the forward guard.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I'm thinking. You have any other suggestions or thoughts?
I mean, you're likely correct in this regard, but whoever they go with would be left alone for that time.
Unless we decide to have the two of them together.
True.
I mean, they're both magically inclined, so I'm sure they could get along.
And this also leaves the question of if we are doing this alone or if we will have any help. Because that may also alleviate some of our concerns about people compared to potential number of paths to cover.
Yes. So, should we put this discussion on hold for now, before, so we can get the rest of the party involved?
Yes, I think we've had many good ideas and have the right idea going, but we do need to involve some more people to get this going anywhere.
Yes, so why don't we gather everyone tonight? Either during dinner or after.
Indeed, I see no reason to delay much further than that. The faster we get moving, the higher likelihood that the Queen survives.
Yes, and give everyone else the rest of the day to recover. I mean, I have no idea where Tong went off. Right? Her hands were shaking when she left. I don't know what that's about. Then Henry is off somewhere. We know where Odin is. And Sabrina just left.
Huh?
So, see you later tonight.
I'll meet up with you then.
Jen,
Yeah,
just wondering,
uh-huh.
would lay on hands help Ern's recovery?
What is can you like send me a blurb on that so I can see what I've never played a paladin, so I don't know.
Okay.
I need to look at that. What a genius.
All I know is it appears to be, at first glance, the most busted healing spell.
It's
technically
that's
not
the
a
thing.
spell.
It's not necessarily a healing spell.
Yeah. It's not cover. You can't counterspell it.
Well, it's not actually a spell, but when you look at the healing abilities, you're like, well, lay on hands always does stuff, and they always seem to have more.
And for good
True
reason.
stuff.
You get to lay on hands, and you get to lay on hands, and you get to lay on hands.
Yes.
So Oprah's a paladin?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
There you go.
I really need to get myself a better dry erase eraser.
Yeah. Yeah, that can help.
Awesome. I'm using 25.
Are you telling me that you're touching yourself?
Very
Sorry.
painfully, yes. Frankly, I can do my fingers to my palm and it'll still be horrible.
That's a quote.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about a Harry Potter musical. A person can't become a Horcrux because then if the person can't become a Portkey because then if a person were to touch themselves, looks at Ron. Are you guys doing it again? Sorry, this is. Oh, this is just a bad.
So when you say 25, Erden, do you mean you are using 25 instances of lay on hands?
No, it's 25 equivalent hit points.
Yeah, he has a pool of hit points that he can use for lay on hands.
Okay.
Either heal that amount or spend a certain amount to get rid of certain conditions.
Okay.
Diseases, poisons, thinking
Burns.
it might help with burns or some other stuff because it's completely different than other healing spells. Why not?
I still stand by it being one of the most powerful D&D healing effects.
Lay on hands.
Yes.
Yeah, essentially the way I see it, at least in this, is that he's drawing directly from a ley line. Just I need that.
Let's get this moving along, damn it.
Can't do this anymore.
Rough.
Yeah, basically it'll take all the pain away. The burn scars are they're still there. And they'll probably be there for a while. But it doesn't hurt to move anymore. It might feel a little weird because you know how like after you've had a really bad sunburn and your skin feels real stiff and kind of crunchy.
Not really. I don't burn that well.
You've never had a burn like that, you lucky dog.
Oh no, I'm the weird one of the family who, oddly enough, doesn't burn that much.
It doesn't happen often, but when it does, last time it happened, I was at Tyrell's. No, I wasn't at Tyrell's. I was with Tyrell at another friend's house, and both of us got baked. We weren't alone; like the whole group got baked because we went to the lake. But and Tyrell had to go to his restaurant that he owned at the time and just like bathed in a tub of egg whites. Said it felt really good though.
The worst sunburn I ever got, tops of my ears.
Same. That's usually where it is. It's the top of my ears. No matter how much sunscreen I put on, I always burn the hell out of them.
The worst sunburn I ever got was from scuba diving in the ocean.
Snorkeling or scuba diving?
Snorkeling, not scuba diving. Snorkeling.
One of the worst ones I ever got was in Denver in the dead of winter when I lived on a cul-de-sac, and so I was shoveling snow around the house. And my neck was the only thing that wasn't covered. Because it got toasty.
I spent hours with the without any sunscreen, I don't think. Or maybe I've just been out there so long and it doesn't work well in water. Either way, just my entire back
Oh.
with a little bit of water on top of it to magnify it.
You ever think you're having a bad day though? My mom had a friend in college. She was black, and she was convinced that she couldn't get sunburned, and she spent spring break in Jamaica and burnt the bottom of her feet sunbathing,
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh.
and then had to try and get home after that.
Oh.
Whew. Yeah, glad I've never burned the bottoms of my feet.
Neither have I. On our honeymoon, we went to Crystal, Colorado, which is
Mhm.
nice up.
Marble.
Thank you. Why did I say Crystal? Marble, Colorado.
Yeah, I knew what you were talking about.
Thank you. But it's nice up in the
I've been there.
mountains, and that's why, because the Crystal Mill. I always get I mix it up for some reason. But we went on a little Jeep excursion to the Crystal Mill and to Crystal, Colorado, which is above Marble. I was so good with my sunscreen because I'm like, we're at higher elevations, I am going to fry alive. I got everywhere except for like right here.
Mm.
And that's the place that red as can be. I'm like, but I was so good. I got my ears, I got my face, I got everything else, I got my neck. Except the front of my neck.
A chunk of marble from Marble, Colorado.
Nice.
The Rainbow Hotel? Yeah. The Rainbow Hotel in Great Falls was built out of marble from Colorado. From Marble, Colorado.
A lot of things were built from the marble.
I know, but it was cool because it was my hometown.
I
Oh.
was in the temple last week. I mean, I was in the temple yesterday, but last week we were doing ceilings.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the altar, and there's all these like statically little lines through it, and I'm going, "Oh, it's marble! Look at all the stylolights in it." And then I was like, "Wow, I'm in the temple, and I'm thinking about stylolights." Okay, it's like, well, at least I'm enjoying myself.
So, who's next up on the chopping block for RP?
Whoever wants to.
No scope. I can.
Okay.
Even though I won the nose game. Because I'm. How are we sending our letters?
Magical means.
I mean,
Like,
Brina might not necessarily know because it would depend on how often you were in the human world, and
Yeah.
I
and
don't
I probably
think
wasn't
you were
in the human
ever
world.
before joining the
I
party.
wasn't in the human world very often. I don't think I was on my adventures on my own. I don't know how to send these letters home. Dang it!
No, you did not.
You're going to have to fight Tog.
I'm excited for my letters. I'm like, oh wait a minute. I don't. Oh.
You're like, I'm not in the other world. I don't actually know how to send letters to the other world.
I'm gonna
Into
go.
the beyond.
So I'm gonna go trot through camp and try and find Cadmus because he's the one druid that I actually kind of know who he is, and see if he has an idea of how do I send my letters home.
Across the ocean. A continent you've never heard about. And across another ocean.
I was just gonna tell him it's in the other world, but
Or across two continents you probably have heard something
like-
about and an ocean.
it's like I'm Faye. How do I get these home?
Go ahead and give me an investigate to see if you can find him. Since like half the camp is cavalry and half the camp is druid. So,
You said investigation, right?
yeah,
Investigation. Okay.
such him out.
So you're saying we got
14?
cavalry to the left, we've got druids to the right.
Here I am, stuck in the
Stuck
middle.
in the middle with you.
And the whims of fate stuck in the middle.
Here we are, stuck in the middle with you. 14.
Yeah, you'll be able to find him. He's with the druids. He's with Idea. Because
Oh,
those
cool.
two
I
are
was
the
looking for her
thickest
too.
thieves.
Yes. One of the easiest ways to find a Dea seems to be to find out whoever her new friend is.
Yeah, basically he's just enthusiastically talking to Idea about how well those stupid trebuchets that the little leprechaun had in his bag somehow worked. I'm still trying to figure out how he managed to get it in there. Like, I get it's magic, but also there's still like this whole space thing. Like, the thing didn't shrink, it was just coming out. I don't know how he does it. I don't understand leprechaun magic. Boggles the mind. But it's effective.
I'm sure if I had access to that magic, I could come up with something brilliant to do with it.
I don't doubt
Please
it.
tell me I walk in at the tail end of this conversation.
This is what you're hearing as you walk up, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm probably gonna look a little bit panicked as I come over to them. In part because I don't know how to send my letters home, and two because I just heard what Idea said. And I'm like, oh dear. How I love you. I don't know if that's a good idea.
As Adea's trying to finish the hole in this crystal so she can thread the chain through it so that she has the necklace to, throw at something magical that she can't handle.
That's not how you do crystal holding.
Wait a
Gotta
minute.
do like a wire frame around it.
I get to
Yeah,
teach
she could have made it
language arts
nicer,
and
but she's
French.
just trying to make a necklace that looks fine, but is really more just anti-magic ammunition.
New students now, guys. Exciting. Get to teach language arts and French.
Nice.
Physical science.
You have my condolences.
Don't worry, eventually you'll get a real job, and then you'll realize that they want you to be more educated, so you'll do both of them at the same time.
What was
Or
really
just
funny
accept
is
your lot in
I'm
life, one of the
still
two.
trying to figure out how I got cleared to teach other topics in French. I'm like, I don't know anything about biology in French.
In French.
Like, I can say je suis biologiste, but that's it. I don't know what a cell is in French. I don't know. I can say like cheveux, which is a horse. Like mon chat. Où est mon chat? Easy. Okay, he's over there.
At least with the proper nouns, I don't think you have to, since they were discovered by, well, whoever
I
named
can
them.
talk about certain biologists because there's Henri. What is his name? Henri, because he was actually French, and he was a big deal because he helped in geology too. And now I can't remember his name.
Back when you could just do all the sciences because nobody knew anything about any of them.
Yeah, I know. It's like he's a geologist and a naturalist and a physicist, and I'm like, no, that's not true. And then you're like, oh, I guess it was.
You had to know all that stuff back then.
Because no one else did.
And it's funny, if you look at the Bone Wars, it's like you had a geologist versus an anatomist, and both were very good at what they did, but when you tried to put the two together, there was a struggle. Now it works a little better, and we figured it out, and we just call it paleontology. But
So.
Every model of every modern general.
Question. Does Cadmus speak Fae?
no.
Okay, so
Cadmus knows 2 languages.
Cadmus knows Draconic and Druidic?
No,
Latin?
Cadmus speaks Kimri.
Oh, Kimmery and
Druidic.
Druidic. How's
Yes,
it talking to a Dan?
How are you, Dan?
Yeah,
Huh?
that's what I'm
He
thinking
knows
about now.
He knows Latin because he's
Oh, yes,
talked
he knows
to,
Latin.
he's
Okay.
talked to Inde and
I guess he
Tom.
knows 3 languages. Sorry. Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna come up to them and take a second as I look panicked at Idea, and then look to Candace. I'm like, ugh, right, you can't understand me. Okay, spells a lot of time. So
She okay?
I'm going to cast tongues on Cadmus so I can talk to him.
Okay.
It's like,
When you
Sorry.
do that, like, you cast the spell or whatever, and he just kind of. Oh, what did she just do?
I made it so you can understand me.
Ah! Oh! You're that.
Hi. I get frustrated when no one can understand me and nobody else speaks Fae, so hi. So, question.
Am I speaking Fae?
The real answer to that is yes, but yes, but
Okay, wait. No. Oh. Tongues. The spell grants the creature you touch the ability to understand any spoken language it hears. Moreover, when the target speaks, any creature that knows at least one language and can hear the target understands what it says. Okay. I was like, wait, do I have to cast comprehend languages on myself to understand what he's saying back to
No.
me? But I don't.
no.
Thank goodness.
No, he just speaks a dirty form of whatever the all-encompassing language is that everybody understands.
Pigeon.
It's not pitch.
So yes, he does speak Fae now, but he's also speaking every language simultaneously.
It's dubbed, not lip sync.
So, it's Esperanza, then.
But the real question is comprehend languages subbed or dubbed?
Yes.
Definitely dubbed. Because I'd love to watch their mouth not making the words that are coming out. Just like, what is happening? I'm pretty sure you just said die, but that's not what came out of your mouth.
That's why Tom doesn't like idle spell. Anyway.
So I guess I'm not sure if you're speaking Fae necessarily. It's just it helps you to be able to understand me and I can understand you. Trust me, it took us a while in our party where we had people translating all the time. All the time. But I had a question for you.
And then the magic rocks came. Continue.
Yes, and then the magic rocks came. Thank you, Dan. I'll explain that in a minute. I had a question for you though, Cadmus. So, my friend Tong and I, we wrote letters home, and then I realized that I'm very far from home, and I'm not sure how to send these home. Do you have any idea of how to send mail to the other world? I thought you might, because the druids seem a little bit more connected than anybody else in this world, and I'm too afraid to ask Mr. Emrys.
Dea clearly has taken joy, by the way, in leading Cadmus on in the randomness of other magical things that have not yet been discussed.
Confused until you say I'm too afraid to ask Emrys, and then he just starts laughing. I don't know. I've never been to the other world. Frankly, it kind of scares me. Mostly because my experience has been like, leprechauns and,
The spell I just cast on you?
well, yeah, that's new.
I'm sorry I didn't ask permission first, but you wouldn't have understood me anyway.
I mean, no, that's not. I'm a druid. I get spells cast on me all the time, whether I want to or not.
True, but it's still polite.
Magic doesn't come with consent clauses?
No.
Only certain spells.
You cast magic. How many times have you asked for consent before you've done something?
Brina's just gonna look at her and like raise an eyebrow because she knows. Like,
This was definitely not an Adea question, and you are right, Adea does not ask. She was looking for somebody to drench with water the last time she had a spare spell slot.
please tell me the Cadmus sees that expression on my face and wonders what stories that entails.
Like, the point is, I mean, there are certain things, yes, that you ask permission for. Like, you don't go into somebody's head without asking first. That's just not cool. It's like mind rape. I don't want to do that. However, other things, not so much. But no, I don't know how to send letters to the other world. I don't know anybody in the other world. My letter writing goes to my mother in Deved.
Where's that?
We're in Deved. Well, sort of. We're kind of on the border with Deved and Powys.
Oh.
It's just that I usually live on an island that's not Deved.
Gotcha. That's nice that you write your mom, though. I wrote a letter to my parents and my best friend. So.
Oh, my mother is a wind druid, so if I didn't, I would be getting a very loud gust of wind in my ear, telling me off.
Don't you think the tongue would know how to manipulate the transmission of messages across the other world?
Yes, but I'm almost as nervous to ask her as I am to ask Amaros. She set off a fireball in a cave!
Adea will kind of shrug and nod. Kind of a like, yeah, fair enough, but point still stands.
I'd say ask Adea, but it sounds like this is her first time, foraying into the human world. So, she's probably not your best bet either. Oh, but you know who probably does, even though he never sent letters home because screw his family? Erden. Erden might know.
Oh!
Sorry, what? I was not paying attention the past 30 seconds.
That makes it all look better!
What's even more
considered an alternative.
It is.
What's even more funny is that our master of otherworldly planes has somehow managed to leave himself out of this conversation.
Okay.
Yes, no, Ern's been left out of both how to strategize to get into Londinium and how to deal with interactions between the two worlds. Instead, you can just hear him playing his banjo in the background.
Because
kind of happens
Tamror,
when you
the
burn
Horizon
yourself.
Walker, is actually an expert of many different planes, or at least knows a little bit about a lot of them. But nobody really knows that because he doesn't make it public knowledge if he doesn't have to.
You're making it very hard not to metagame right now. Please stop.
Yeah, all I'm hearing right now is just, as much as you're scared of asking her, go ask Tong.
Right?
Well, I could ask Erden. Well, Tong also got up and she left when she was done with her letters, and she seemed like she wanted to be by herself, so I didn't want to bother her. And
Erden can't get away from you, so.
What was that?
Erden can't get away from you, so he's the perfect person to ask.
This is true. Captive audience.
Erden's normally nice enough to me to answer my questions anyway, but okay.
I'm not saying he's not. It's just, sometimes when he just isn't feeling it, he likes to just walk away, but he can't now.
Or one time he ran away.
Ran away?
Henry, you're not there.
Oh wait, no, that wasn't him. That was Tiberius. Who is it who ran?
Ran
Was it
so
Tiberius who ran?
far away.
Yeah, it was Erden.
Yeah, Erden
Yeah,
ran
it was
away. He tried.
Sorry, what was that, Jen?
And then he and Tooth fell in a hole.
Yeah.
He was not fast enough to escape Rada.
It's full of holes.
Nobody is.
No one is.
Okay, well, thank you anyway, Patmos. It's nice to be able to actually talk to you. Especially since you've been so helpful with helping Idea with all of her fun stuff in the trap. The traps are very impressive.
Oh, yeah, seems dangerous for us to work together, but
In a way that's normal for Idea.
now I get why you were distracted.
That's what I can do in this few minutes.
Over here. What have I missed in the Discord?
Ah.
He made a meme.
I like the meme. I like the meme.
All right. So Henry, explain to me what it is you're so a wise sister. What do you?
But isn't that what the Saxons?
Wise women.
Wise women.
Wise woman. Oh,
Yeah.
fine. My bad.
I just want to make sure that's what you meant. So you're talking
I'm just-
about. Oh, just
Yeah.
because we had the pile of stuff that we'd collected from.
That, and also the plot against the queen. Apparently, it's Saxons. They're gonna try and. The thought is that they will poison or do something using their magic, which is mainly the wise women. And so, I am just wondering. I'm beseeching the gods to see if there's some way to be able to either pick them out of a crowd, because I'm assuming if they're coming themselves, they will disguise themselves or something like along those lines, or they're objects that they have cursed or poisoned.
Okay, and you got a dirty 20.
A dirty 20.
Yeah, so you've been meditating on and off, kind of looking through some of the stuff that was collected. A lot of the magic has been ripped out of it thanks to Idea's funky spell trap. But because you've been looking through and trying to like figure out what the symbols were, and because you've been mostly, I think, successful with speaking to your own god. You could whisper, let me. Oh, in Rome. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So more you feel these whispers where you feel like the most likely way that she would be poisoned is via some sort of plant toxin. And there is a ridiculous list that it could be. You've heard of belladonna, you've heard of nightshade, aconite, hemlock, hellebore, yew, opium.
You've got to love
There's a lot of
Europe's
things it
list
could
of
be.
poisonous plants.
It's very long.
It's a wonder that Europeans ever survived the way they.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot less toxic plants in North America. You ever notice that? There's like a handful, and as long as you avoid them, you're okay.
It also turns out that all of our toxic plants taste really bad.
We also make up for it with the number of wild animals that can kill you, though.
That's not a bad thing.
They're easier to avoid than twins.
Well, it's a lot easier to avoid a moose than poison ivy, so.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
What about a moose named Poison Ivy?
Why would you name a moose poison ivy?
Why not?
Because there's a cool old song. Poison Ivy, Poison Ivy.
I have no clue what song you were talking about.
I think, Mary,
Course you
that we totally just aged ourselves, but that's okay.
I've
That
been
depends.
accused by my husband of using slang that is older than my mother, so yeah, I'm used to it.
I took a quiz the other day. It was pop hits. It was like, we can tell how old you are by the pop hits you like. Do you know how old this quiz thought I was? This quiz thought I was 60. I was like, excuse me. My father's in his 60s.
Oh.
The song that Jen and I are vibing out to is from like the 50s.
Yeah. It's got that
What
same
was that? I think
vibe
that was
as
a
like,
band by a name.
There might have been a band named Poison Ivy, but the song Poison Ivy, I really like it. It's good.
it's got the same sort of vibe as Love Potion number 9.
Except Love Potion number 9 is from the 60s.
Yes. But like same sort of, it's up there with like that and like I told the witch doctor I was in love
I
with
was
you.
in love with you.
That same sort of like, it feels like it should have just been in a show, but it was definitely just a radio hit and then later
Uh-huh.
added to something.
Yep.
Yeah, the 50s and 60s, man, that was a roller coaster. For music, at least.
And I like
Nice.
a lot of the songs. Oldies.
Mhm. Do you know one of the most popular songs in the 60s was an orchestral piece?
Not a band, but it is the lead singer of a rock band that I don't actually know. So I don't know how I got there. But that's okay.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Jen?
Well, once Henry finishes up his thing, he just heads back into camp looking for the group.
So yeah, you've got a whole list of poisons that you could possibly look for, and many of them can be dosed the same way, and many of them have the same sort of symptoms. So it'll be really hard to pinpoint.
All I'm getting is that there's a lot. Good luck.
It's really funny picturing Cernanos just giving you a thumbs up with a smile because he has like no pupils. It's just
Oh, so he's the perfect person for Henry to be seeing because tieflings are often depicted as pupilless.
Huh? That's just the truth.
my favorite thing about Cernanos is that we may have black people, but he is actually black, like black, like ink black. Not just dark brown, he is straight up black
Interesting.
with white eyes.
The cramp.
That's cool.
Deer antlers.
Yep. I don't think that I have any clue who this actually is.
Uh-oh.
But yeah. Well, that was fun.
Or Josh. Uh-huh. You guys have fun.
Aaron's making memes.
At least it's
I'm just
not a
looking through some of our past stuff and just realizing, wow, I can do a few things here, can't I?
Yes, you can.
Become our thing after, so we just started our new pirate campaign, And now my friend Matthew is just like sending memes after we finish each session, so we just have or gifts. So we just have loads of gifts that just kind of explain what happened in the campaign. And if you have no idea what's going on, it just looks absolutely ridiculous.
That reminds me
Like-
of a couple of the gifts that people have posted, like if we happen to have missed a session and we're like, what is going on? What happened? Why?
Grab it. No time to explain. Just grab the cactus and run.
So yeah, this last one we had from Avatar. Hey, riot! Then we have a clip from oh, what is that? Pulp Fiction. Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Poor Marvin.
And then we have a SpongeBob meme where everybody is in jail clothes singing together. Someone popping out of a garbage can. Another one that says she is using fashion as a smokescreen. Somebody kicking down a door and then jamming. Lightning coming out of somebody's fingers, and then one of those black and white silent films where somebody's hat is getting yanked off of them and then dropped on their head. See, out of context, it makes absolutely no sense, but it's really funny because we did in fact break out of prison, start basically a sort of a riot. We broke out of prison by singing and getting the guard to come downstairs, and then we knocked him out and took his weapons. One of our players who wasn't in prison with us but was still on our ship actually blew off the other captain's head in a panic. And one of the other players who was on the ship playing a goblin was hiding in a barrel of apples, and then she popped out of the barrel of apples all of a sudden and scared the snot out of the people who had taken our ship.
Remind me never to make that captain anxious. Holy cow. She blows people's heads off when she's...
Oh, she's not the captain. Our captain was in prison with me.
Oh.
She was just a dragon rider that was part of our crew. But she killed the other captain because he was on our ship trying to find something that I guess he'd stashed there. We still haven't figured out why they attacked our ship. So that's fun. And there were a couple of times where we beat people with doors because they were on the other side, and we were like, I'm done with this. And then the same dragon rider, she could shrink herself so she could just blend in using fashion. Our barbarian, when she goes into a rage, has lightning come out of her fingers. And then we were kind of beating people with their own stuff, so, you know. But they're very entertaining memes gifs when you know what's going on.
Why does that make me think of somebody wanting to take Tooth's bag of holding and beating him over the head with it?
I don't know, but it reminds me of an episode of Big Bang Theory where Amy accidentally hit Penny in the face, and she's like, "What do you got in this bag?" And she goes, "Nothing, just my keys and something else, and then a chunk of change that I forgot to take to the bank." Which definitely sounds like something Tooth would say.
Tooth has never
Yep.
forgotten to put his stuff in the bank before.
A can of change. Okay.
So Henry's got overloaded with information and is returning to camp.
That was not what I was looking for, but thanks.
I mean, it was what I was looking for, but I was really hoping it'd be more specific than that.
And he's headed back to camp to share his findings.
I'm just headed back to camp to see if somebody else got something a little bit better.
And you're on a
I
wild
was thinking,
goose
like, okay, if
somebody sent
poison
a
her, it would be with
letter
plants.
back to your goose.
I did not write my goose. I probably should have wrote my goose.
I know.
Oh no.
I did not write the goose. I wrote my parents and Ren, and I wrote a rohop.
I said it as a joke about the wild goose chase.
I know.
Ern's playing his banjo. Brain has just been sent to
I'm
go
going to
with
channel my sassy goose at you one of these days.
Alright. Henry, it's easy enough to figure out where most of the party is. They're still in the sort of druid area. You see Brina getting up to go find Erden.
Mm.
Think
I
about
will-
this time, Rada has probably made her way back over from her conversation with Amror.
Mhm.
Erden's not terribly far away from where you guys were. Since, the healing area is in the druid camp. So you
He
can hear
kind
Really
of
him.
bad
can't move.
job of listening to Gorlois when he said to relax.
Yes, you did.
I only partially blame Rada.
Only partially.
Oh, that's good. Just partially.
Oh,
Mhm.
look, we were
Well,
doing
then I will
more
head
things.
towards where the biggest group of them are at.
I don't think we've managed to actually group up now that I think about it.
We never
Mm-mm.
grouped up.
I feel like
We're all sitting in different parts of the camp.
Like,
No.
you can see all of us, but we are not in a cohesive group. We are scattered.
Fully sorted conglomerate.
Yeah.
The reason you can see them is, Henry, you're kind of tall compared to most of these humans.
most. Yeah. I don't think many reach where I'm at height wise.
Yeah.
Getting all
Rada
of
has
these.
a high enough passive perception. He notices. Henry, we are going to be meeting up around dinner time to discuss future plans.
Good to know. Where at? At the mess hall or
What's mess hall?
someone's
We're in the
tent?
middle of a field.
Wherever they're gonna feel where we eat dinner or somebody's tent. I guess there is no tents, huh? Did we set up tents?
Do you need
No.
drugs?
No.
Do you want drugs on your blanket?
Yes, please.
Well, I have to go put drugs on my blanket.
Alrighty then. And I will.
Henry, you are tall enough. You should be able to see once the rest of us gather. I mean, you can see in the dark, no?
Yes, I can.
Then
I
you
was
can find
just.
where we will be gathering. We will probably be gathering.
Press
Over
campfire. I really hope Rada's pointing at a campfire.
Mm-hmm.
She
Then-
just points in a random direction.
Random direction. It's just like we don't have a cohesive description.
Why
of
are
what
you
that
following
area
me?
looks.
I threw it all on your blanket, dummy. I don't have them. They're on your
Catnip.
blanket. I don't have them, see? I have empty fingers. Don't rub
They
your
probably
fingers on
still
my
have
fingers.
smell.
Go get your treats. Go get your drugs. Go get high.
I don't. He probably did. Point to a campfire, or at least a place where we could set up a campfire.
Mm-hmm.
Very
And
smart.
I will.
Here. He's here.
Since there's nothing really until we have the conversation, I will go find my stuff, use it as a pillow, and take a nap.
Back to sleeping. It was a long night.
Exhausting.
And then Rod's going to go to the rest of the party, like wherever they're at, tell them like we're meeting at this location at dinner time, having a party meeting.
But did Rada manage to interrupt Tong in her discussions with Taliesin?
We'll get to that.
I presume that it is a discussion and not anything else.
We'll see when we get to that point.
I'll nod to Rada as I go off towards Erden. Are you sitting up, or are you just playing your banjo, lying down?
Apparently, I'm propped up a little bit, but it's still definitely in that I'm not moving from here kind of.
Okay. Well, you look a little bit better. You're at least able to play your banjo. How are you feeling? Or dare I ask?
Well, until recently, I was feeling terrible, but then I used some of my healing magic, and suddenly I don't have pain anymore.
Well, that's good, but don't push yourself too
I
much.
feel happy.
Well, I'm not gonna move, so
Good idea. I'm not dead yet. I think I'll go for a walk. I feel happy.
She turned me into a new.
I got better.
I
I
got
got
better.
better.
We shall use my larger scales.
So, Erden, I had a question for you. Cadmus sent me to you as somebody to ask because, frankly, I'm more nervous to try and ask Mr. Amorous or Tom. And she's gonna like hold up her letters. It's like, Tom was writing letters, and I thought it was a great idea, but now I realize I don't know how to send these home. Do you have any idea how to send a letter from this world to the other world?
does Erden know? Because I, as a player, have no idea.
I mean, Cadmus said that you never wrote home yourself, but that you would probably know.
Go ahead and give me an intelligence check. See if you do.
Why don't you ask for dexterity while you're at it?
No,
No, you're playing your
you ask
banjo.
for dexterity with disadvantage because you're stiff.
Natural 20.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, you do know how to send letters to the other world. But it does require. Alright, Albus is playing with his ball now. He's got one of those springy balls. And when he gets really vicious, it gets stuck on his foot. It does require some either an entrance to the other world or various magical components and access to a ley line. And those
Okay.
magical components vary depending on the type of magic you know, how far your letter has to go. Um,
Mass of what you're sending?
yeah, and basically, are you sending a letter or a package or a combination of the two? Is it an extra thick one, or are you sending it on parchment? Are you sending it on papyrus? Ah,
What is the weight and girth?
Atlantean paper.
Yeah.
lined paper.
Alright then. Yeah, I know how to send things to the other world and back. Let's see here. I don't think we're next to a entrance to the other world. So, I mean, unless we're willing to work for that, it might be easier just to find a ley line and stuff to send it with.
Okay. What would we
Considering
need to...
that you used lay on hands, you do know that you're sitting on a ley line.
Yeah. Sorry, what was your question?
So what would we need to send it?
Well,
I mean, they're at least going to the same place. I mean, there's only like I think I wrote like a page and a half. So there's 2 sheets for each of my 2 letters.
are they going to two different places, or?
Well, they're both going to my home. I mean, I could probably just send them both to my parents, and then Ren will get one to Roja. I mean, he's engaged to her sister, so I'm pretty sure they will see each other.
Okay.
But
Well,
with
seeing
this,
as
she's
it's
like, with this, as he's like trying to think of something, she's like gonna scribble on the back of one of them, just like, has Ren gotten married yet? Because I'm like, I'm gonna miss my brother's wedding, aren't I?
Don't worry, considering the way that the Otherworld has worked so far, it is entirely possible that you can both miss it and make it.
What I love is that makes no sense, and it still makes sense.
Time travel.
I mean, hey,
Turtles.
we have 2 tongs running around because of time travel.
I'm sure
Oh, man, I
nothing bad
hadn't
can
thought
come
of-
of that.
Can we create a singularity if the 2 tongs touch?
Let's not.
Can Tong
That wouldn't
Said
make
to
causal
herself.
sense.
Well, all we need to do is either get the present tong to Albion or go to Germania. I imagine that's where she is.
If one tries casting sending to the Tong that we know, is it possible that it will accidentally misroute to the present Tong and then Tong will understand what the heck that random message was about 30 years ago?
Yes.
She doesn't remember until it's sent because timeline shenanigans.
Exactly.
It's like, you know, it's weird. I'm just remembering that I got ascending.
I did not recognize.
I did
Oh
not
no, seeing
recognize
as
who it
there's
was.
2 tongs, they both receive it at the same time.
Would that only happen if you rolled a natural 1 or something on whatever check you'd have to do for that?
And heaven forbid that half of it goes to the present Tong and half of it goes to the Tong we know.
It's all
Every other
garbled and
word.
jumbled.
No, it's not that. It's the literal audio range of the voice. So one Tong gets the top half and the other one gets the bottom half. So it's basically like changed on how high pitched or low pitched it is.
That would be
I
disorienting.
heard high pitch and low pitch, and all I could think about was.
The Doctor Who theme song?
Yes. Of which I got to meet 2 pawns last weekend.
Yay.
Yeah. Got to meet Arthur Darville and Alex Kingston.
Arthur Darville? Ugh.
They're both very, very sweet.
I was going to make a comment about the one point where he tries to argue that that's not how it works and about being a pawn, and then the Doctor's like, yeah, it is, and he's like, yeah, it is.
So what does Brina need to send her letters?
Yeah.
Well, seeing as it's a small thing, we don't have to worry about the whole large bit. Distance, that's probably gonna be a bit of a problem.
You will know that one of the magic items that's needed in order to make this work is something from the place you're sending it to.
At first that seems easy, but then you remember that all the spices that you're carrying around aren't actually from the place that she's trying to send it to.
Well, I mean, one of the bigger components, you do need something that's from the place you're sending to, so...
I suppose her weapon probably counts. Assuming that her weapon would not be consumed in the casting of the spell.
I mean, if the material components are the same between different classes, perhaps Tong has some materials that you would need. I know you are scared of asking her, but she's been around for a long time. Perhaps she knows just as much and has the materials required. I mean, you saw her writing the letters. She probably has means of doing it.
Yes, but I also saw her go off by herself and I didn't want to bother her. Just like I saw you and Amber discussing strategy and I didn't want to bother you guys.
Speaking of which,
Oh, she didn't go off on her own.
where did she go?
She took Taliesin with her.
Oh,
Oh,
well, that's helpful.
So she probably doesn't want to be found, if I'm assuming that correctly.
alright. Well, regardless, Odin, if you are feeling up to it, we will be having a party meeting at dinner.
Okay. I'll see if I'm proved to walk around or not by then.
If not, we can send someone to, or we could
Party
have a
meeting in
meeting
Eridan's
here.
hospital room.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if nothing else, we can relocate to Eridan's bedside.
Otherwise, we could have this meeting here.
Sounds great. I
don't
look
think
forward
it
to
is
it.
that clandestine, she says, looking at the other patients.
Leophilid is there, and she kind of overhears this. She goes, "Well, if you want him to be able to come to dinner, I can work on some physical therapy and just kind of make him stretch those stiff,
Limbs.
stiff limbs.
Yeah,
It might bring some of the pain back, but you don't want that skin to get too hard, otherwise it'll become it'll heal weird.
I do
If
think
that makes
that we
sense.
should get Odin back on his feet as soon as possible. Yes.
So
That's
he's
easy
I would
enough.
prefer
And
that.
she's a Saxon. Keep in mind. So she comes over, sticks her arms underneath yours, and just hauls you up to your feet.
Like you'll just hear this loud wheeze just come out of his mouth, like, oh, I can feel everything again. Like,
Not
I'm like,
literally.
I'm taking a step or two back. I'm like, oh dear.
I got him. He's not gonna fall. She kind of lets go of one arm. She's got a hold of one arm, and you can kind of feel like your skin feels weird, kind of this like leathery, kind of like a lizard. Not that you've dealt with a lot of lizards because you're from the north and it's kind of cold, but you've seen a skink or two, and you're just like, "Ugh." Your legs feel a little shaky.
Ern's kind of like kind of bent his knees a little bit, and he's basically standing trying to stand as still as possible, and he's instinctively holding his breath for.
Cadmus just calls over. Are you trying to kill him? She doesn't even respond. She doesn't like say anything. She just goes.
I'll try and call over. It's like, I think she's doing something called physical therapy.
Ern's face is slowly getting redder.
All right.
This is a weird
Oh,
language.
good.
I don't know what that means.
I did not mean literally. I mean, okay.
This is fine.
Else, how else is he gonna get moving? I'm not gonna make him crawl. That'll make it worse. The bottoms of his feet aren't burned.
They are or they aren't.
Aren't.
Oh,
They
that's
aren't.
good.
His kneecaps, though, and she taps one of the nearest knee. Those are.
Oof.
Do I have to do like a will save on that one or something?
No, but you might need a Constitution save. Just 'cause-
Constitution. Floor rolls don't count. That's what I'm rolling right now. 9.
Whew, that she touched it, and she didn't touch it hard. She just kind of lightly tapped it. But because the skin underneath the surface is still pretty tender and still, burnt, the nerve endings are still there. It was like being caught on fire again, and your knee buckles. And she kind of just holds you up. She's like, "Oh, buddy, this is why we're working on this." And she's like patting your arm gently, which also doesn't feel great. But she's being gentle, and she kind of lifts you back up, and she's like, "This is why we do physical therapy." Okay.
Okay.
Ern has found Ern remembered a few creative swears in Latin that he heard
Woo!
this entire time.
Ron's face goes from like, I am so sorry to like, I am so glad there aren't any children here.
Whereas I'm standing there holding my letters, realizing that I understand what he's talking about because of the magic rocks.
You're like, oh!
And anyone who's hearing off to the side can also just listen to it slowly devolve into Brythonic and then Saxon.
Okay, I'm gonna go find
And
Tom.
Cadmus just goes, you are trying to kill him. Cool. And he just kind of gets up. He kind of gets up and he comes over to your other side and he kind of gives you a little boost. He's like, it's probably a lot less painful if you have two people holding you up. And one who's not going to touch every burn you have. I'm a healer. I have to make sure they're actually healing, and the only way I can do that is if I touch it.
She's right, you know. Ern is in absolute misery, but he knows
Well,
enough
now
medicine.
we know that fancy little magic he did was totally superficial. But that was some fancy magic. Here. You just keep walking, and I am going to do a little Saxon magic. And she'll kind of start doing this chant in Saxon. It's this old sort of sing-songy thing. You grew up with this. Every time you got a scraped knee, your mom would sing this, like your dad would sing it or something. And it does heal. Like, you can feel, like, cooling magic underneath the surface that's kind of in the spots where she touched you. Like, it's working.
The Saxon magical equivalent of a band-aid.
I like it.
Yeah, basically.
It's a Saxon
Very
magical
nice,
magic.
dude.
It may be related to Jotunheim, ice. Ice is nice and cooling on burns. As long as you don't leave it there and cause ice burns, Because those aren't fun either.
Okay,
That
so,
tune better not be Ice Ice Baby.
Okay, so,
We're a few centuries away from that one. Just a few.
Erden, good luck with that. I am sorry for expediting this treatment. Come on, Bruno, let's go see if we can get you those materials.
Okay.
Your sword should do perfectly fine, or at least the removable teeth, I think.
The huh?
To remove her teeth?
Of her sword.
Oh.
Oh. Nice.
What? My sword doesn't have teeth.
He's delirious.
Yeah, his vision is probably swimming at this point.
Okay.
Marlin Bill.
I think I should just go ask Tom now.
Yeah,
I'll let you
that's
heal.
that's where Rada is like taking you.
Like your vision's swimming, and you can hear her saying that, and then you hear Leopold just be like, "You gotta keep walking, move this leg, come on."
You feel a little kick on the back of your foot. Not like a hard kick, but just like this foot, move it.
And Ern's participating as much as his conscious mind will allow.
I was gonna say, no,
The goodness.
neither my
The
Marlin Bill
British.
dagger does not have teeth,
I don't know.
and my
what they
Talyaha
do.
definitely does not have teeth. So I don't know what Aaron's talking about.
I'm pretty sure that pieces of obsidian glass are close enough to teeth. It probably hurt
It's not
more.
obsidian, it's whalebone.
I'm thinking of
You're thinking of the Mayas and the Aztecs.
It sounds like we should do Tong next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Alright, So, Taliesin, if, like I say, if Taliesin has any feelings as a drum, you can feel Tong's hands shaking as she walks away from the hospital area, looking for a quiet place.
He does. He's quiet for a little while, but eventually he's like, well, either there's an earthquake, or somebody is quite frightened.
Well, uh, let's
Oh,
just say
this is a new voice.
Oh, come on, you've heard me before.
But you don't usually talk to me.
Well, we spoke yesterday. That's like the burning of the Saxon camp last night was particularly stressful for me, and I need to get something. I need to do something to get my mind off it. I am hoping that the music will help with that. And I don't need people yelling at me for playing badly.
Oh.
I see. So you want me to play soothing music?
Well, no, I was hoping for assistance in my own playing of an instrument, as well as perhaps some inspiring words. I.e., looking for the help action and bardic inspiration.
She is fishing for bardic inspiration.
Tongue has taken Taliesin away to forcefully make him into her counselor.
I mean, to be fair, that was kind of his whole gig.
Why do I have a feeling that Talius is just happy that somebody's actually seeking him out for counsel instead of trying to subvert it all the time like Erden does? No offense.
And probably Emrys too.
Oh, Emrys definitely.
No,
Where do you think Erda got it from?
Emrys loved going to him for counsel because if he had somebody to go to for counsel, it meant he wasn't in charge.
True.
Which is why he was so excited that Taliesin was there, but then realized he was just a drum and not actually alive, and that's not useful. Because he's still in charge.
All hail the almighty drum. We take our orders from the almighty drum.
Boom, boom, boom.
Alright, that needs to go in the quotes channel too.
Pretty sure there's a place, I think it's in Ireland, that's like Drumheller or something like that. Drumheller.
Take our orders? Yes.
Anyway. Oh, well, I am pretty good at, that kind of thing.
I also figured that you might want to listen to some maybe new music. I'm not sure how far east you got.
I didn't get to travel a whole lot, but I did have plenty of friends from the east. What do you play?
It's called an erhu. It's a two-stringed instrument.
Ah, yes. I learned how to play one of those when I had fingers.
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
Well, I was at one point a human.
So I've been told.
I have not always been a drum. For somebody who is apparently from the future, I assume you have heard of the Merlin.
I mean, in passing, perhaps? My concern has been mostly, in the wilderness. You are well aware that I work with the Library of Alexandria, no? You sounded quite excited when I mentioned that the first time.
Oh, yes. I used to frequent there when I was a much younger man.
So I was one of the. I helped with research there, studying. Well, I suppose my focus has been the component part of Fey magic. particularly the verbal and material components.
Ah, yes. Components.
But, well, that has led me to disliking the spells of comprehend languages and tongues. And, well, one of the more interesting parts has been working with rocks. Geology is kind of taken my interest, and not a lot of people these days like rocks, unless they're in the geology department of the library.
You should spend a little more time with druids. Rocks are a very important part of druidic magic. We draw power from them, or we maintain the ability to block power with them. Well, it depends on the composition of the rock, so we do, in fact, teach geology on our island.
Well, if there wasn't that language barrier, I would be interested on listening in on those lessons, seeing what you all know.
Well, while we do usually teach in Druidic, not everyone who is there is strictly a druid. Miss Leothlid, technically a wise woman. She learned the Druidic language, but when she first was brought there, unlike druids who are just kind of born with the ability to speak Druidic, she could not. So we did have to do lessons in Gola, which was her native tongue. And I was the Merlin for quite a long time, and I am half Roman, so I did insist that many of them learn Latin. So there are many lessons done in Latin.
Well, considering that was the language of Europe for quite some time, it is a wise decision.
Europe?
Eh. It's a word that I heard from the Phoenicians.
Ah, interesting.
The very few Carthaginians that are left.
Fascinating. That is not terribly different than when the Romans came and decided to call our people Cambrians. Terribly confusing. Had no idea what a Cambrian was, and then I realized it was their word for Kimry.
Yes, they call my people or at least the place where I'm from, the land of silk.
Ah, yes. Silk is an interesting cloth. I was gifted silk robes at one point. I didn't feel particularly comfortable in them. I kept sliding all over the place. I'd sit down and slide right off the chair.
That just means you weren't used to them.
Perhaps. I think I prefer wool.
Yeah. To each their own of their cultural preferences. Anyway, yes, last night, very stressful. Lots of fire, tearing open old wounds.
Have you had dealings with fires in the past that have caused you grief?
Unfortunately, yes. It would be about 220 years ago. Well, from the current year. Time travel's messing with my head. I did, there was a series of wars leading to the fall of the ruling dynasty where I'm from, and well, I was a part of a adventuring group before that, and one of our own turned on us in favor of one of the local warlords, killed a man who would probably have been my husband if he had lived long enough, and trapped me. Well, I was taking shelter in a burning building with one of my other companions. Well, it wasn't burning when we took shelter, but it caught fire after we took shelter there. And one of the beams fell, pinning me, killing my other companion, and this paladin comes in with a bunch of soldiers, tells one of them not to waste their resources on doing me a mercy and leaving me in that fire.
Oh, that is quite a story. Well, fire has not been friendly to any of us. I personally was killed in one, so
So you
I
understand
understand
the
the
pain.
pain. Yes. Not a death I would wish on anyone. Quite painful.
Yeah, 200 years too late. She says that looking at the back of her wrist.
But strength comes from facing our fears. Which it sounds as you started to last night.
No, that was a foolish thing, thinking that burning tents would not trigger the intense fear. Quite frankly, I am thankful for that druid that got the smoke out of my lungs last night, otherwise I probably would have woken up screaming. That will happen, by the way. You will travel with me long enough and you will be woken up by my screaming.
Nightmares?
Nightmares, night terrors. Had them ever since.
Well, here is my advice to you. Sleep with me at night, and I can keep the terrors at bay. And then
He's a dream
you need to
catcher now.
practice. It just may be that he has certain kinds of magic that can totally just wipe her mind blank while she sleeps. So she just doesn't dream.
Yes, in the dream catcher.
I'm just thinking of that one Avengers meme, like, don't give me hope.
The next thing you need to do is you need to practice facing your fear, even if it's just with a campfire. And you're not alone in this. Others in the group are not big fans of fire either.
And one who's a very big fan of fire.
Several of them were my students. Erden being one of them. And I know that you are not fond of royalty, but Uther would be another I would speak with. Uther is not like your typical nobility. He will not treat you the way other nobility does. He sees everyone as equal. Talking these things out does help. And I can keep you from dreaming at night. Until eventually your brain no longer feels the need to dream about these things. Because you're working on the fear. Does that make sense?
It does.
It will be difficult. But at your age, I believe that you have the strength to do so.
Well played, Taliesin.
You would hope.
One old man to an old woman, you know? You can do it.
I have this very funny image in my head, like if they actually looked the age that they were, like these crinkly little wrinkled old people. You can do it. I don't wanna. You can do it.
You guys ever seen that movie Grumpy Old Men? That's exactly.
I don't think I have.
But instead, one of our old people is a drum,
Look it
and
up.
the other person
Good
is
movie.
a darn near eternal spirit.
There's Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men. I think they were both from the 90s. Good
Yeah.
movies, though. They're hilarious.
That was the abbreviated. Actually, I wonder. Would this work? She'll reach up to her the side of her head, casting code thoughts, pulling out the memory. Do you think you might be able to view this?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm simply just a consciousness or not. I don't know how this works. A goddess did this to me, so this is magic beyond my comprehension. Perhaps.
I'll hail the mighty drum.
Okay.
But
Trying
also
to think.
Do you want drugs? Do you want drugs?
I mean, it's gotta have to work because even if because of Taliesin's level, like it's really, really hard for him to fail. Okay.
I suppose you could. Even
I'm
though
just gonna make sure he doesn't like nat one.
Yeah, I was about to
Oh
say
no,
that.
he rolled an 18. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I was about
Even
to say,
if
like,
you
even though
can't remember
automatic
what
fails
seems
don't
like.
exist in 5e.
Yeah, I don't think anybody actually plays it that way though. I've never seen anyone play it that way.
Nat 20s are automatic hits, but otherwise there's nothing for a natural 20 or natural 1 to do. Unless it's a
Natural
save.
ones are just interesting failures for me.
Oh yeah, so I have no idea if this is like the pensive in Harry Potter or if he's getting a first-person view of the memory, but he gets the viewing of Tong's memory of that night.
Yeah, essentially he's gonna see it from her point of view. And once he's done, I see. Yes. That is a damaging memory. Another option, a little more permanent option, depends on how attached to this memory you are.
I mean, I've been trying to get rid of it for 200 years. So,
Emrys
it might end up
does.
as one of those karmic situations where you try so hard to do something, and yet when that thing is done, you have no idea what to do afterwards. So,
Emrys should have the power to erase the memory. Whether he will do it or not is a whole other matter. Memories are particularly important to druids just because you learn from them. However, there are some memories that are stunting, and this may be one of the ones that's preventing you from reaching full potential.
alright. Well, I can worry about that later. I still want to, at the very least, get my mind off of this right now. So, music, shall we?
While you guys are playing, you will feel this sort of peace come over you, and your mind does temporarily just go blank. It's like nothing but music. He has definitely put a mind blank on you, and you're just kind of like, you know.
Thanks, Tanner. Way to
You-
ruin the
we
moment.
we lulled him to sleep with our
Yep.
instruments.
So, hey, I imagine at this point, Rada and Brina come over while Tong is just focused on playing her instrument.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, Brina's probably just like, what kind of instrument is that? I like it. What is it?
You guys will also feel the calming effect as you come up. Okay. I'm sorry, Tanner. I need to mute you.
I already did that.
Ready to say.
Probably.
I believe she called that an erhu.
Oh, Tanner.
Oh,
ERHU.
E.
we just
Wait.
gotta remember to unmute.
R-H-U.
Him.
Wait. Can you
Well,
spell it again?
should
E-R-H-U.
Yep.
should be that.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, drugs on your leg. He was running around like he was high for like 10 seconds.
You gave him drugs. What do you expect?
Catnip, man. Gave him the nip. The nip!
Well,
Just such an easy way to control him. I mean, come on.
Did you see the quotes the quote that I put in there,
It did.
as well as the drum?
Hmm.
All hail the almighty drum. But also the do you want drugs? Do you want drugs in your blanket? Yes, please.
As you guys come up, the music will slowly fade. Why is the table sticky?
thank you, Delius.
Oh, I'm feeling better.
Much better.
Good.
Hey, what do the two of you want?
I just have an image in my head of Rada like pushing me forward, me clutching my letters, and like, oh crap. I have to talk to you now. I don't want to interrupt you, Tom, but I saw that you were writing letters home, and I thought that was a great idea. And then I realized I don't know how to send my letters home. Anytime that I wrote home, I was always traveling in the other world, never in this one.
Well, you're in luck. With as much time as I spent between both this world and the other world, I have plenty of experience with that.
Would you be willing to help me?
Yes, I have some letters I need to mail as well.
Thank you. I don't know if they could be mailed together since I don't quite know how this works. but
Do you have an object from your home, or wherever you're sending those to?
what kind of an object do you need? Like, is it some? Do I get to keep it here, or do I have to give it up?
Is it consumed?
It's consumed.
The item would be consumed, yes.
Kind of acts like a guide.
Postage.
It's postage. Okay.
It's magical postage.
It doesn't work
It's
like
the
picking up
address.
the scent.
Well, I suppose consuming it would be the wrong way of saying it. It's more of, it's acting as the guide to the mail.
Okay.
The male is not a hound. It cannot pick up the scent from the item.
Alright. All I can think about is, here's the mail, it never fails, it makes me wanna wag my tail. When it comes, I wanna wail.
Mail. I feel so old.
Why?
I don't know.
If you don't know what Blue's Clues is, you had a sad childhood. That's all I'm saying.
True.
Like, it's still
That was-
going.
It's been almost 2 decades since I've watched it.
You also have to
Oh,
keep
well.
in mind that I have brothers who are a decade younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up learning about things that I never ever would have watched myself. So, like, learning about Joe was terrible. But, like, now I know things like the Backyardigans and the Wonder Pets and Peppa Pig.
I actually encountered
Caillou.
I encountered Blue's Clues more because of the fact that my mom was a single mom, and so I had to go to a babysitter quite a bit, and most of the kids that she babysat were younger than me. And so they would be watching it, and it would be on, and I would be exposed to it. That's most of what
That's really how it was for me even when I was little, because I'm the oldest. So she'd put on a show for the youngest one, and the rest of us just had to put up with it. We got to watch the big kid cartoons later. You know, things like Rugrats and
I love
DuckTales.
Yes.
Rugrats are the best. They updated it, and it freaks me out.
They updated Scooby-Doo and the animations. You don't
So
mess.
they did that sort of 3D animation that they did for like Tangled and Brave for the Rugrats. I don't know. I just prefer it to stay 2D animated. I don't know.
Some things weren't
I'm a
supposed to be
purist.
dug up and reanimated like some boring necromancer.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's all Disney is, isn't it?
Yes.
It really is.
Yes.
The necromancy era.
I mean, when it came to like animation, like the
Right.
last good idea they had was Phineas and Ferb. Everything after that's been kind of.
Well, we have like the golden age of Disney animation, and now we're in the necromancy age.
Well,
True facts.
it's more of the let's recreate badly phase. It's
Just
live
a heads
action.
up, Little Mermaid was not worth it. Blech.
I was wondering
That's
what
like-
your opinion on that would have been.
Jen's official opinion has been heard.
Mm-hmm.
Reincarnation and
I was
raised
like,
dead at
if
the
you
same
want the
time.
opinion, let's call it